And it wasn't just a celebrity wedding, was it? It felt more like, I don't know, a global achievement or something.
Yeah, like a project we were all invested in.
Exactly. They were the golden couple, the glossy magazine covers, the red carpet smiles. It was like we, the public, had all collectively decided, okay, this is what happily ever after looks like.
Well, it was a massive cultural moment. You have the
Yeah.
biggest TV star in the world from Friends
Hmm.
and the biggest movie star. It was like a merger of superpowers.
Right.
And because they looked so perfect, we just projected everything onto them. It wasn't a marriage. It was a storyline, a story the world felt it owned.
Ownership is the perfect word. And that memory, that image is still so stuck in people's heads. But here's where our deep dive today gets really, really interesting. And honestly, a bit jarring.
Uh-huh.
We're looking at a piece called Jennifer Aniston, reclaiming the narrative of a Hollywood fairy tale. And now, at age 56, looking back, the way she frames it is not a fairy tale.
No, it's the deconstruction of one.
Right. And the headline that just jumped out at me, I mean, I had to read it twice. It uses the phrase, the horrors of being married to Brad Pitt.
It really stops you in your tracks, doesn't it?
It does. Horrors. I mean, that is such a heavy word. My brain immediately goes to, abuse, danger, something dark. So I have to ask right out of the gate here, is this just clickbait?
The vital question.
Is she rewriting history to make him look like a villain? Because that's a serious thing to imply.
And we have to clear that up right away, because the nuance here is everything. Based on the text we're analyzing, she is absolutely not accusing him of cruelty or abuse in that way.
Okay.
This is not a gossip expose about him being a bad husband.
So, then what does horror mean? If he wasn't a monster, where did the horror come from?
The horror wasn't the man, it was the situation. The text uses that word to describe the psychological toll of that relentless, extreme visibility.
Ah.
It lists specific things: emotional isolation, relentless public scrutiny, and this crushing weight of expectations. The horror was the environment they were living in.
Okay, help me with the isolation part because that feels counterintuitive. From the outside, it looked like they were at the center of the universe, millions of dollars at every party. I think a lot of people listening might be thinking, Crimea River, you're famous. How can you be isolated when the whole world loves you?
Well, that's the great paradox of that level of fame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine you walk into a room and every single person there already has a fully formed idea of who you are and what your marriage is like.
You're not a person, you're a caricature.
Exactly. You're not interacting with people, you're interacting with their projections of you. The source calls it becoming half of a global obsession.
Half of a global obsession? That sounds suffocating.
It is. I mean, think about it. If you're an obsession, you're an object. You're not a person anymore.
Yeah.
The source says every single move was magnified. If she frowned getting coffee, the marriage was in trouble. If she wore a loose sweater...
Oh, the bump watch. I remember that. It was constant.
Relentless. And that's where that word suffocating comes in, which the text uses specifically. It says there was little room to be human, let alone flawed.
That really resonates. I mean, we all just want permission to be flawed, right? To be grumpy or have a bad day without it becoming a headline.
And that permission was just gone. Psychologically, that creates this profound loneliness.
Yeah.
You're trapped in a glass house, millions of faces are pressed up against it, but you can't actually connect. The horror is realizing no amount of money can buy you the space to just be normal.
That bump watch you mentioned, that whole motherhood topic really illustrates the glass house perfectly. The source goes deep on this, and reading it, it just felt cruel.
It was a different time, for sure, but the cruelty was so specific. The tabloids weren't just curious about why she didn't have kids then.
No, it was an accusation.
Exactly. It was framed as a personal failure. Or worse, this narrative that she was selfish, that she chose her career over a family, which was seen as some kind of betrayal of her role as a woman.
That's just brutal. Imagine the entire world debating your personal, private choices. But did that stuff actually get to them? You always assume celebrities just don't read the tabloids.
That's what we tell ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So we can keep reading them. But the text directly challenges that. It says this external noise seeped in.
Seeped in, like a poison.
Yeah, it's insidious. The source says flat out that neither fame nor love could shield them from that stress. Think about it in any marriage. If the whole world is shouting that your marriage is failing, eventually that noise gets into the house with you.
You start to believe it.
You start to question things. You start performing happiness for the cameras just to get everyone to shut up.
So the marriage itself becomes a performance.
Precisely. And that erodes the real thing. Intimacy gets replaced by strategy. How do we look today becomes more important than how are we doing today?
Right.
And that is a kind of horror. It's the death of authenticity,
Which leads us right to the crash, 2005, the split.
the end of the fairy tale.
And we have to mention the other players. The source brings up Brad moving on with Angelina Jolie. I mean, Team Jen, Team Angelina, it was a whole thing.
We all lived through it.
But what's fascinating here is how the source frames it. It's less about the scandal and more about the label that got stuck to Jennifer.
This is the key psychological shift. Until 2005, she's the golden girl. Then overnight, she's something else. The text calls her the unwilling symbol of abandonment.
Unwilling symbol. Wow, she didn't ask for that part.
Not at all. And think how powerless that is. She was branded the woman left behind, the sad, lonely victim. The source argues that the real horror of that time wasn't just the divorce itself.
Right, people get divorced.
Every day. It's awful, but it happens. The unique horror here was losing control of her own story.
That's a huge distinction. You can get over a breakup. But how do you get over the entire world deciding you're pathetic?
It's so hard, because that narrative walked into every room before she did. She stopped being a person with a life and a career and became this character in a public tragedy.
It's basically identity theft.
It is. It's psychological identity theft.
Yeah.
The world stole her private grief and turned it into public entertainment. And that label stuck for years. Even when she was moving on, succeeding, the headline was always, "Poor Jen."
Poor Jen. I remember thinking that, and now I feel kind of guilty. We all bought into it.
I think we all did. But this is where the source pivots to today, to the wisdom she's gained. Looking back now at 56, she's identified some really powerful lessons from all that pain.
Okay, let's break those down, because the tone isn't angry, is it? It feels very clear.
Very clear-eyed. Lesson 1 is about how easily your own identity can just disappear inside a relationship, especially when the world defines you through someone else.
The Mrs. Brad Pitt problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it applies to everyone. You know, you get with someone who has a huge personality or a demanding job, and it's so easy to become a supporting character in their story.
And for her, the story was literal. She was America's sweetheart, but she became the wife. And then the ex-wife.
And the second lesson is maybe even bigger. It's about the cost of staying silent too long. The text says she learned the hard way about allowing others to narrate your pain.
Oof. Narrate your pain. That hits hard. Because she was pretty quiet for a long time, right? She took the high road.
She did. Dignified silence, which we're often taught is the strong thing to do.
Yeah.
But the source argues that for her, in that situation, silence was a trap. It created a vacuum.
And the tabloids rushed in to fill it.
They rushed in with their own story. So by not telling hers, she let the world write the script for her. And the script they wrote was, "Poor sad Jen."
Silence basically let that victim label just harden into concrete.
Precisely. She learned that if you don't define yourself, the world is more than happy to do it for you. And they'll almost always get it wrong.
So, let's come to today. We've gone through the fairy tale, the horror, the identity theft. What does Jennifer Aniston at 56 look like, according to this piece?
She looks like someone who finally took the pen back. The source describes her as no longer interested in Hollywood illusions. That's a huge change from the woman trying to keep up that glossy image back in 2000.
There's a line in here that I love. It says she prioritizes self-worth, boundaries, and this is the key, choosing peace over performance.
Peace over performance. What a mantra. It means she's not making choices based on how they'll look anymore. She isn't living to please the global obsession. She's living for her own internal peace.
It really brings us full circle to that headline, The Shocking Truth. You start out thinking the shock is going to be some dirt on Brad.
Right, you're waiting for the scandal.
But it's not about him at all.
No, and that's the whole point. The source concludes that the real shocking truth is that even the most glamorous relationships can quietly erode a person when, love and privacy and individuality get lost. It's a total deconstruction of the power couple myth.
It's like a warning label on the fairy tale. Be careful what you wish for.
It is, and it makes it clear her story is no longer about Brad Pitt. It's about survival, reinvention, and the courage to reclaim one's voice. It's a hero's journey, really. She had to claw her way back to find out who Jennifer is all by herself.
This isn't really just a celebrity story, is it? The scale is insane, but the themes feel uncomfortably relatable.
That's why we're talking about it. The core mechanics, identity, expectation, narrative, those are things we all deal with.
Yeah, the expectations part. How many of us feel suffocated by expectations from, our parents, our partners?
Or our community. I mean, think about that motherhood pressure. That is not unique to Jennifer Aniston. So many women get the, when are you having kids question. that feeling that your body is public property.
And being cast in a role, I mean, okay, I'm not a global symbol of anything, but people do it in regular life, right? You're the responsible one or the funny one.
Families do this constantly. Workplaces do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exhausting to keep playing a role that maybe doesn't fit you anymore. You start to feel unseen.
And if you play it long enough, you forget it's a role. You start to believe it.
That's the danger. And the lesson here is you have to be willing to break character. You have to be willing to disappoint people, your family, your boss, whoever, to save yourself.
What?
You have to choose peace over performance.
Which is so much easier said than done.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It takes that courage to reclaim one's voice.
Yeah.
But the result is you own your story. The alternative is staying in that glass house forever.
So we've gone from the perfect image of 2000 through the pressure, the loss of self, all the way to this place of reclaimed power. It's an incredible arc.
It really is. It shows that you can survive the destruction of your public image and come out the other side with something way more valuable, your actual self.
I love that, your actual self. Okay, as we wrap up, I want to leave everyone listening with something to chew on.
I think it's realizing that the fairy tale is often a trap. We want the perfect image, but this shows us the cost. Real peace requires messiness, and you can't be messy if you're trying to be a perfect projection.
And for me, it's that lesson on silence, allowing others to narrate your pain. If you don't tell your story, someone else will.
Which I think brings us to a final question for you, for everyone listening.
Let's hear it.
Jennifer Aniston learned the hard way about the cost of letting the world write her story. She had to pick up the pen. So think about your own life. Where are you staying silent? Where are you letting someone else, a boss, a partner, society narrative, narrate your story for you?
And maybe more importantly, what would it look like if you decided to take the pen back starting today? What would happen if you chose your piece over their performance?
It might be messy. It might disappoint some people, but it would be yours.